Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks and this thing, baby, representing TKOG. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my goo. I've been cooking up a lot of different lab variants, and this is the build that has performed the best for me. It has changed in some marginal ways. I did learn how to play without rollback, which did just inherently make me a better lab player. I did eventually pick rollback up, so this list that I'm showcasing, I've only played online and at locals with it. I'm actually taking this specific variant to regionals in Seattle, which is coming up this Sunday in about 2 or 3 days. But this variant went undefeated back to back to back 3 times in a row, and then I finished out in second place. Well, actually, I'm sorry, third place. The final time, I chose to be greedy and play it out and not split because we played for a box, and it's okay. And both my losses were totally in my control, so I'm actually okay with that. My losses were literally to me choosing Torrential Tribute choosing Dimensional Barrier over Torrential Tribute, and to me choosing D Barrier and Different Dimension Grounds over D Barrier and like a Trap Trick to get back into Engine. I was just like being greedy proactively, and I wasn't prioritizing my ability to play over my ability to deny my opponent how to play. I was up against Chimera, and I knew that it was either Barrier or Different Dimension Ground. I felt that Different Dimension Ground covered more bases, like where I wanted him to like still play, but I wanted him to lose his resources. Like if I deburied him, he would keep like everything. So the Different Dimension Ground was the better choice, and the D-Barrier was just me being greedy because he did evenly me 4-4, which wasn't terrible, but the problem was because like I didn't get myself back into enough engine. Like I wasn't able to play efficiently enough on the crackback, and he cut me completely. He put me on a top deck, basically on like a top deck in a prayer. And then against Cash Tira, I just chose D-Barrier. I had the choice of D-Barrier or Torrential, and I chose D-Barrier. I just, heat of the moment sometimes get to you, and that's where I'm learning with this deck to play better and more efficiently, that the line that looks the most appealing isn't always the best line. The line that secures the most follow-up while innately allowing you to still play on the crackback, I think is always more imperative. So like, sure, there are lines that like can just cut your opponent off of engine completely, but like those lines also inherently cut you off of engine completely as well, which is just equally as bad, you know. Like if your opponent can't play, it doesn't matter if you can't play either. So yeah, you guys, this is the list. I'm just separating my cards. So I've got these piles, these piles. We'll talk about these probably a little bit later. But yeah, the deck's just been going crazy. I really love it a lot. It's one of my favorite decks. It is my go-to this format. I like it. It's a really fun deck. Smash that like button. Subscribe to my channel. Show your boy some love. Let me know how I'm doing. Let's get started, you guys. Labyrinth is a very meticulous deck. It's a very, very strong. And I say its ceiling is high if the player is like really, really good. Like you can be nice with it, but like still not pilot this deck efficiently enough. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart. It is not for an individual who, for example, just wants to play like 20 going second cards in their main deck and just like blind second with Tempai. Let's talk about it though. So for my like all of my engine, like I'm with this deck, I max out on engine. If you guys have seen any of my other lab content, you guys know that I trust my engine so much that I will always depend on my engine over my non-engine. My engine functions equally as non-engine, essentially to stifle my opponent's play, to force them to go into different diverse lines that they aren't normally like comfortable with. Because like there's one thing to navigate through hand traps, but then there's another thing to navigate through traps that you can actually play through your hand. Like cards like Durma Cannon just like essentially cannot be played around a lot of the times. You just have to be patient, and like with me, I'm very patient with those kind of interactions. Like if I have a Duruma and I'm playing against pure Snake Eye, like I'm just gonna hold it until like the longest I can hold it. And I've actually Duruma'd for 6 a lot. I've done some pretty crazy stuff with this deck. So 3 Extrav. I'm still on 3 Lady. I love throwing 3 Lady in people's face because like people swear like they live and die by 1 Lady or 2, and even when people have 2, they feel like they have to explain why they're playing the second. My build is a Labyrinth build. It's a Labyrinth combo build. I want to play as efficiently as I can on my opponent's turn. I have a lot of 3 and 4 card combos. My favorite one is Arius plus any of the Welcomes and Lady. That's how you turn 0 Eradicator, turn 0 D-Barrier consistently. You can Backjack into Trap Tricks. You can Arius in the Trap Trick to still get those Floodgate-esque effects. But this is how you can do it with Engine. There's obviously like pitching big welcome with the furniture, summoning her as a bounce. She's really, really prevalent. Another cool thing about playing her at 3 that a lot of people just seem to like not understand like how prevalent Imperm is in the format is like having Lady and like a way to just having a way to play like with Lady in hand is really, really powerful, especially if you're just like summoning Lady first and then normal summoning your Ariana. And if they Imperm, you just chain Lady and you get straight to Engine. So she's really, really strong. There's a lot of decks that can't out her. She essentially, when you have a set card, she's half of a Dragoon. She can be targeted or destroyed. She's really hard to deal with. The fact that your opponent has to use so much resources just to deal with her in the first place, and she's recursive, she's very, very problematic. My build is not a build that like utilizes Lady to set as a way to like lock my opponent out of the game. So I have a lot of ways to get to Engine and non-Engine without her, which means like if my opponent is interacting with her, it's a good thing because a lot of people do like to throw their resources at Lady to prevent her from being able to set, which is okay with me. I play really, really strong, nifty cards that help me to pretty much mitigate a lot of the interactions that would be cutting me off of Engine and stopping me from being able to do what I want to do. One of the things I love about this deck is that it always will make your opponent play way differently than they originally planned to. In addition to that, like, because you don't play actual hand traps and you are playing Engine, like, and when you do play hand traps, you play them a lot more efficiently, especially like Nibiru. Your opponent cannot navigate through them the same way. There's not, like, those cookie cutter lines just don't work with, like, this type of setup, at least for my build, I think. So here's, like, all of my Engine. I'm just going to lay it all out, and then I'm going to talk about it. I play a lot of Engine. I just believe in I'm a firm believer in this deck's Engine. I just believe that it can do everything I need it to do. So we have the Extravs and the Ladies that I talked about. Next, we're going to talk about all of my turn 0 interactions. I max out on Arius and Kuklok, which is another controversial, like, I guess you could say, ratios. They're controversial in the ratios, and the setup is controversial. I just believe in my ability to play, and I know that this deck can, like, really outplay a lot of decks. Whether you're setting your combo line up efficiently to like circumvent certain hand traps and to play around Ash and Bell, regardless, I like the fact that like when whether I resolve a big welcome or a regular welcome on my opponent's turn or not, that I'm starting my turn every single turn with free bodies and free resources flowing like fluently for the crackback. Like if I activate a big welcome and it gets ashed, but like I chain Arius and Grave, and I'm starting my turn with Ariana Arius to go straight into Chaos Angel and like go straight into Yama, like it just force interactions with the Unchained Link 3 and the Chaos Angel before I actually commit. It's pretty nasty what this deck can do. So I love that the crackback is there even when you eat the hand traps because the bodies continually just recycle themselves on and off of the field continually. The other thing that's really, really imperative that I enjoy a lot, that I've been doing a lot lately too, especially when I like made, this is the most consistent build I've made, to be honest, up to date, is Arius summoning my Lovely from hand. Like, it helps out a lot. I do it all the time. Like, I do it preemptively. I have a lot of lines that I do, like, to play around Super Poly, to play around Ash and Bell, to play around Imperm. The deck can essentially play around anything as long as you just know your lines, and as long as you're just, like, being mindful and situationally aware of what your opponent does and does not have. Because there's obviously a checkbox. If they haven't hit you with a certain interaction at that point, and you've gotten this far, you can just concede the fact that they don't have the Ash. They don't have the Bell. So the next thing is like, we're checking for Imperm. We're checking for Nib. And this card's kind of crazy, especially summoning it off of Arius, which is the most unconventional way to do it. But it also cuts your opponent off of Ash or Bell, which is really, really strong on your welcomes. Because some people will Ash Ariana and Extravs. Other players actually Ash the welcomes. Like, and that sometimes hurt even more. Like, when they're cutting you off of, like, your actual lines to interact on their turn. Like, if they Ash your Extrav and your Ariana, you might not be able to play as much on your turn. But, like, if they Ash the welcomes, you, like, really can't play on their turn. And so a lot of people are getting, like, more and more privy to how to interact with this deck. And, like, Ashing the welcomes has becoming more of, like, the streamlined way to approach and navigate this matchup, which makes Arias at 3 much more impactful and a lot more imperative in my opinion. And also just like that line summoning the Lovely from hand has been like putting in a lot of work for me, bro. I've been clapping people up, bro. So yeah, I would never ever play any less of these. If there was another furniture that did what Kuklok and Stovey Torby and Chandragler did, I would maximize on them. If I could play 12 furnitures, I would. Honestly, these cards are crazy. I do love the pink. I really do. She is my favorite. I like her a lot more than Ariana because she is Ariana. Also because this build is playing Transaction Rollback and Black Goat Laughs, there's just like a lot of lines, like even if they imperm on summon, like they're actually smart and they don't chain imperm to the effect when you like can big welcome bounce her, like you could still pay cost with her and still get cards like big welcome, cards like Black Goat Laughs, and cards like Transaction Rollback engraved. So like lines through imperm, especially with Lady, like chain Lady. So like that's a really cool interaction too, is like summoning her with Lady up. Is like if they imperm this on summon, not even like letting you try and pay cost, because like a lot of the times it's just smarter to just see what the cost is. But like if they're specifically playing around big welcome engraved to bounce her to dodge the imperm, then they'll preemptively imperm her on summon, and you can Lady set cards like Transaction Rollback or Black Goat Laughs and then use her to pay cost, and like completely, essentially you'll be able to play through the hand trap as long as you have other engine. What the other thing is cool is like setting a Transaction Rollback off Lady and going straight in the Yama and Shavar popping it, like so that you have a free fodder for Shavar, so you don't have to blow excess resources or engine for a target to actually get Shavar on field and go to your Unchained line. So there's just like a lot of lines. There's a lot of like nuances. There's a lot of things that this deck can do. It's just crazy. I can turn 0 essentially anything I want. I turn 0 D-Barrier 3 times in 3 different games. I turn 0 different Dimension Ground once. And I mean, the Torrential, I actually swapped it around. I think I swapped Torrential for the 3rd Daruma, but I was messing around with 1 Torrential in... then I went with 1 Torrential, 2 IDP, and then 2 Torrential, 1 IDP, and then I was like... Torrential was insane. It was super funny, but I just like kept feeling like it was so redundant to have with Daruma, but I did turn 0 Torrential twice. I did it a few times off Arius, a few times off Backjack, a few times actually off Lady Set Kuklok effect, which is really, really strong. Another cool thing, if you guys don't know, is like when you have your non-engine traps in hand and you have Arius into a welcome trap, even without Lady, or if you're just going into like a Kuklok plus furniture, you can still summon Ariana from deck and use her effect to search Arius, and then Arius to set the Durama Cannon that's in your hand, so you could still Durama Cannon your opponent on their turn. Like there's just a lot of ways you can do it, and it's a lot more impactful than even Nibiru and Imperm in combination with each other. It gets you the engine. It allows you to do what the deck needs to do, while at the same time being as essentially proactive as possible with how you interact on your opponent's turn. The remainder of the engine is 3 big welcome and 3 regular welcome. If I could play 3 more of each of them, I literally would. There are no drawbacks in my opinion, at least in this variant, to maximizing on them. I'd love seeing engine, especially paired with like everything else in the deck. There's just so many 2 and 3 card combinations that really do allow you to like hand loop for 2, secure 8 interruptions, immense follow-up, your floodgates of choice, Eradicator, and full force on the same turn. It's just crazy. This deck can essentially checkmate any matchup because there's a normal trap for every type of interaction and every type of playstyle, whether it's like D-Barrier, Dimension Grounds, the Virus cards, or if it's just simply Daruma Cannoning your opponent twice. Like there's just so many ways that people just can't outplay these, and because they're chainable, back row removal doesn't really work a lot of the times. I'm essentially playing 10 welcomes. If you guys, this is a cute card. I'm not gonna lie. I actually like Trap Tracks. This was part of my other variant I tested with Lord of the Heavenly Prison, because I was doing Ariane into Ariana and then going into Gallant Granite to search Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So what I would have is like a big welcome or a welcome with Lord revealed, and like it would be an insane combo because I would activate the big or the regular welcome and get another Ariana out and grab Kuklok on res summoning Lord to set any trap I want, and then Kuklok so that I can actually, you know, activate it. But it's, even though that was like an insane combo, like, and Trap Track was like the trap of choice a lot of the times, because it essentially, like, by playing Trap Track in my list, whether I'm playing Lord of the Heavenly Prison or not, it affects the composition of my main deck so that I don't have to double down on a lot of cards, especially like in siding. I don't have to double down on a lot of the normal traps, which affects the space of my side and main. So that's what I like about this card. It diversifies how I can build my deck, and it's a lot more interchangeable than Trap Trick is. The beauty with Trap Trick is it sets up Labyrinth setup immediately turn 1, which makes it a very, very potent trap. Even if you trap track into trap trick, just so that you can have the targets, is really, really good. The other beauty with trap track that trap trick doesn't have this interaction is popping your monsters to get yourself right back into the game. Like Lady Set into a trap track to trap track into a big welcome, triggering all your furnitures in your regular welcome and grave before you even activate anything is kind of gnarly. So I like it a lot. It does start targeting effects. It is a really, really strong trap, and it just allows you to like stay in the grind without playing so many duplicates and burning through resources like in an exhaustive manner when like you really don't have to. So I don't regret the one trap trick. The one trap track, I don't regret trap trick. I think these are broken cards. I really like them. It's not as crazy to hit off of Backjack. Like some hands, you just like, this is just not going to do anything because you don't have a monster on field, which is where trap trick is superior. But there's so many other ways in which trap track is the better card. So yeah, this is all gas. Like everything that I've shown you thus far is all gas. Like this is all engine. Every single thing. Maybe you could debate that Lady's not, but like Lady minimalistically will always convert into a Yama. Minimalistically. A lot of the times Lady, if she's not getting you to anything, you're using cards like Stovey Torvi and Lady to go into Chaos Angel. Like it's just, she's a crazy card, bro. And a lot of decks can't out her. Cards that I never want to draw, but they are engine requirements, are these 5 bricks. This is not really a brick. This is actually really insane to draw a lot of the times. This is okay to draw, but it can be a brick. And this is like a true brick. All it is just like a furniture discard. You can summon it off Arius. I've done it a lot actually, bricking on this and summoning it off Arius. It's non-conventional, but it means that your Ariana can like search for something else. So even sometimes I bricked on this and it was like, I would have searched this off of the Ariana and summoned it off Arius anyway, so I can just get a different card. But Escape and Shavara just really don't brick. It's a fodder for the actual Shavara. It's obviously like fodder for your Ariane, and like it just, the cards that you brick on are not even that crazy. Like, so these are the 5 bricks. They are engine requirements. You have to play them. Next up, we have Furniture Food. We have the 3 Backjack and the 3 Rollback. These cards really put this playstyle over the top. I've been on the Trap Trick build for 4.5 going on 5 months. It's really, really strong. I've tested so many variants. I've tested a Super Poly variant, a Hand Trap variant. I just truly am standing on business about this, bro. Like, I don't think that this deck needs hand traps at all. Like, it already essentially is like the gimmicky, I play traps from hand. But it really, the engine is just so over the top. Like, that this is the deck that, like, if it's allowed to play, like, you just don't need non-engine. You don't even need to feel like, oh, I back my board up with non-engine. Because, like, I back my board up with non-engine in a different way. I have, like, blowout trap cards. Like, you can break my entire board, but you're not outplaying Daruma Cannon, you know? So, like, it's just, that is your non-engine, is the normal traps that are chainable and harder to interact with. And they're just, it's harder to force them. Like, you can force an Ash, a Veiler, and Imperm all day, but I have sat on Daruma Cannons for literally 5, 6, 7 minutes. Like, while my opponent knows it's there, and they're trying to get me to use it, and, like, I literally won't flip it unless they're gonna kill me. Like, like, you have to say starting battle phase, because, like, if you don't have a way to out Daruma, I'm going to sit on it no matter how much advantage you garner, because you're not killing me at all. And if I'm surviving a turn, that's exactly what I'm going to do for Daruma. I don't use Daruma, like offensively a lot. I use it defensively and reactively and not proactively. Like, I'll Daruma sometimes just so that my opponent is cut off with, like, a Flamberge. If I see that their hand's weaker and they hand trap me 2 or 3 times, and I know, like, you can't get to engine past this point, I'll Daruma, but literally, like, that card is just, like, bro, that card is just goated. Daruma goes crazy. And so, like, these are essentially, these could be hand traps, but they're broken cards. You can set this off Lady, which makes it insane. You can set it off of Labyrinth setup. You can set it off of Trap Tracks. You can set it off of Trap Trick. And this card allows you to outplay a lot of different interactions. And it's not just about activating welcomes again. You can do this for any trap, and you have like a healthy amount of traps. Like, it's really, really strong. One of my favorite combinations is actually to pair the Barrage with the Rollback. It's insane what you can do. You can Eradicator, Chain Barrage, and call spells and traps when your opponent's, like, trying to evenly you. So you leave them with nothing but monsters, like, which is broken, and you can full. So, like, what's really cool is, like, I don't get to this point where I can, because, like, a lot of times the duel's over. I haven't played in a game state or scenario where I could virus my opponent 3 times. It's like, once I've resolved the virus, like, they concede most of the time. Like, a lot of people are stubborn and they just don't want to, like, scoop. But, like, it just doesn't get to that point. But it is pretty insane that you can Eradicator, Chain Barrage, and you can go spells and traps, and you can full force virus your opponent. So you essentially combo their whole hand out of there, like, into the grave, which is just broken. Labyrinth Barrage was my rollback before I got rollbacks, but pairing it, it's just insane the combos that you can do with Barrage. The card is just nuts, you guys. Like, I can't stress or exaggerate enough how freaking broken Barrage is. People be sleeping on this card like nobody plays this card in their engine. It's insane. It's a one-of. It's totally debatable whether you want to play it, but it's done so much justice to pair it with a lot of like my favorite interaction really is with this chaining to a welcome or this chain to like a virus card. It's pretty broken. It's pretty gnarly. I like it a lot. It feels win more sometimes, but then there'll be interactions where I'm like, dang, man. Like, I won because of that barrage. And we've talked about that. So now we're going to talk about the non-engine traps. I really was playing a lot more in the main, but I think that this is just right. Like, this is all I need. My Backjack, essentially, these are my, like, good targets for Backjack. It's like, these, like, the rollback and the barrage essentially have the same purpose, which is just to double down on any of the traps that I want. But these are, like, the good cards. These are the really, really good cards to hit off of Backjack. So you have the 10 welcomes plus these 16 traps. So your build has 16 normal traps that are, like, really insane to hit. But I'm not gonna lie, I've had, like, interactions where my Backjack revealed Extrav and, like, rollback and, like, another Backjack, and I literally put the rollback on top so that I would Backjack and a rollback on my opponent's turn, and then Extrav. And the rollback that I hit actually was insane. Like, it actually let me beat Ash, which is cool. So it's not, like, the worst, but you could argue playing more targets for Backjack. I just don't really see the reason. I don't really feel like you need to play more. My Backjack does what it needs to do. I've blind Backjacked. And a lot of the times, the information is imperative enough, whether you're, like, seeing an impactful trap or not. What's really cool is between Arius, Kuklok, and Backjack, like, you are efficiently able to activate two to three traps. Like, if you high roll in your hands insane, you can actually, like, I can show you a 5-card combo where you do triple trap on your opponent's turn, but you can activate 2 traps consistently on your opponent's turn, which is insane. Like, a lot of times, it's way more impactful than, like, Ash, Imperm, Valor, all together in combination with each other, or like Nib, Droll, and like a Mourner. Like, it just, these cards are just so much more impactful, like so much more valuable, and they're harder to counterplay. The extra deck is 3 Yama. Like, because of Extrav, I really am changing my extra deck. It's not as toolboxy as it used to be, but the cards that I make the most are these. And I do play double SP. I make SP a lot on my turn on like the crackback. This is where Kuklok is like so pivotal, is when people know that you play Anima, your Kuklok actually becomes a threat and it becomes pressure. If people just start moving different, bro. Like, honestly, people be moving different, bro. When that Kuklok hits the field, like, it doesn't matter if they play in the Anima zone or not. It's like the threat of SP. Like, it's just insane. Especially when you have Lady and you have Ariana. That's what makes it more insane, is like summoning SP and then going like normal Ariana, like with Lady up, and like if they do flip Imperm, which is foolish at this point, you can chain Lady or SP, whichever one you desire, which is just insane. We have the 1 Soul of Anguish, the 1 Muckracker. Of course, I wish I could play more of these, but I've doubled down on the last 3 cards, which are the cards that come up the most outside of the Unchained line, is the SP, the Angels, the Typhon. Typhon is broken in this deck, but literally my favorite card is Chaos Angel. I love this card so much. Chaos Angel actually protects all your monsters, which is super relevant. Like, your little guys even. She's really, really, really strong. Yeah, this deck's insane, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I've given a lot more vast and in-depth, thorough knowledge and, like, behind, like, the scenes type of, you know what I mean? Behind the scenes type of vibes with just how much Labyrinth can do. This video is not, like, predicated to be that type of informative content. It is a deck profile, but I do love talking about my choices and where my mind is right now with this deck. This list is going to change a little bit before the regionals, and I'm going to win. I'm not playing, like, I'm playing for fun, but I'm going to play out of my mind. I want to win that regionals, period. Deuces is wild, you guys.